Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. And if this is your first time here, you couldn't possibly know that I am on a mission to give you everything you need to be more successful in your business, providing, of course, what you need to be successful in your business is to know more about and be implementing more enthusiastically, more efficiently, and more effectively sales and marketing in your business, because, of course, that's what you need. If you're going to be more successful, you need more customers more profitably. And eventually, everything you need to do that will be available to you on this channel. So what goes on is I'm giving you everything I know about sales and marketing as part of the What the Series. That happens on a Monday. On a Tuesday, I bring in anyone I can find with experience to share that will be useful to you if you are looking to grow your business. That's Talk Marketing on a Tuesday. Every other Wednesday, Melanie Farmer comes through and we look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what it might mean for you in your marketing life, in your marketing career, in your business. And on the other Wednesday, we review so you don't have to. I'm here thinking out loud on a Thursday. And on a Friday, we react to the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet. Now, if you're watching this on the day of release, it is a Friday, so this will be a reaction. But before we get there, if any of this sounds like it might be interesting or useful, please tell me it does sound like it will be interesting and useful, because we're only here to be interesting and useful. Now would be the best time to like, share, comment, subscribe, and get involved, because that will give us the motivation that we need to continue on this epic journey. So today is a Friday. Today is reaction time. And we do have the wonderful Andy Gwynn, who has joined us to react to We Don't Know What Yet. Good afternoon. Has it gone into afternoon where you are? Not quite.
Still no, it's still morning here. And good morning, Martin, because you're in Bali and I'm in southern Spain, and we're both Brits originally. Yes. And I'm not sure you mentioned the word fun this time, which you did last time, a couple of weeks ago when we did the previous one. And it went through my mind then that I spent years in my business struggling to make consistent sales. And I do lots of these things, lots of podcast webinars, and I realized I wanted to help people. But then when it came right, and I was watching a guy the other day who said this and it resonated so much, you can have all this stuff for free. I want to give you whatever we can give you. I don't care what you think about me. I care about what you go away, take away and use. And if you look at the pair of us, we ought to be on the Muppet Show. We had fun last time. I want to have fun this time, because what I learned and I got taught, and it took me a while to really believe it, is that when I have fun, stuff flows, results come in. And it is about learning to market and sell. But if you can have fun in what you're doing, and you and I do, it becomes even better. So those people listening, take what you can take from this and implement something.
Yes.
But do it in a way that works for you on a fun side. You're in business. Business should be fun. And this is 100%. Fun. So shoot.
And that's the thing. I tell everyone that they will know everything they need to know about this eventually. What they need to know right now is how necessary marketing is. You're not going to be more successful unless you are effectively doing marketing in your business and sales. And this is the most fun you can have in your business. It really is. Unless you're the kind of sicko who really gets off on spending time with your accounts people, this is the most fun you can have in your business, is doing your marketing and being successful. So good. We are here to have fun. Good. Is there anything else you want to say before we roll the dice and get started on this?
Roll
the dice.
Okay, so
cool. We will explain for anyone who is here for the first time. There is an element of jeopardy to this. We are genuinely reacting. We've got no idea right now what it is that we're going to be reacting to. Clay has put together the playlist. It includes 6 potential things that we could react to. We will roll the dice, and then we will choose the number that the dice tells us we need to react to. So we will go to random.org, and we will roll the dice, and the number it's giving us is number 1. So you're supposed to be humming the theme. Are you going to pretend that you still don't know the theme to Jeopardy? Or
I still don't know the theme. I didn't look it up after the last time you hummed it. Your humming was terrible.
I will do it. Da, 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 da. I'm going slowly so we get more of the theme. Da, 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 da. Okay, so pause.
That can't be it. We did that 2 weeks ago, man.
So let's go back and look.
Just take the next one.
Okay, let's roll
Are
the
they all the
dice again.
same?
We already did that. That's what we did 2 weeks ago. How is that still there?
Well,
Can that? It can't. It's a different link. It is
doesn't
absolutely
matter.
a different link. Right, so if I put that in there, but I did go from Google, didn't I?
I don't know.
Ah, here we go. It is different. It is. Oh, and this one's super short, so you're going to get to enjoy some of your afternoon. Okay, so what we are reacting to now, you see, that is an element of Jeopardy, isn't it? Where it absolutely goes wrong. It gives us the thing that we were doing 2 weeks ago. How could that possibly happen? How could that possibly happen? We were doing that 2 weeks ago. That's a long time ago. Right, so so what we are reacting to today is Mark Cuban's Guide to Getting Rich. Okay, that's interesting. This video has, you can't see, but I can see, this video has had 4.63 million views. The channel, which is Vanity Fair, so this is getting demonetized, has had 2 billion views. This is more your wheelhouse than it's my wheelhouse. I'm not really very interested in the personal wealth of individuals. I'm worried about people being, I'm not worried, I'm supportive of people being successful in their businesses, but I don't worry necessarily about the wealth of individuals. But you are more in that area. You're in the property development, investment kind of end of the swimming pool, shall we say, or the paddling pool.
I started my business as a business coach, helping business owners grow and sell businesses.
Yeah.
And I learned that you can't touch one area of something without it impacting somewhere else. So I guess the best analogy was sitting in front of a husband and wife saying to the husband, what do you want? Well, I want to make the money to buy the car and buy the house. And I said, that's fine. I said to his wife, what do you want? She said, I want him home more to see the kids. And I said, fine, it's about, I can teach you how to make money, sell, make profit, draw dividends. But if you're going to work 16-hour days, then it's going to screw up your marriage. And so it's about both. Even as an employee, people are interested in themselves. So I think the two are intrinsic. We're talking about making sales. That means making profit. That means making money. So within that, we're talking to, I work with business owners now predominantly on their LinkedIn strategy. Yes, I'm working with them now just on making sales, but I can't help but talk to some of them about what does that mean to your life. If you're gonna work stupid hours and burn out, then I've got to talk to you about the rest of the balance. So
yes,
it is all about personal wealth, ultimately.
Okay.
Wealth doesn't have to be multi-millions. I'm living in southern Spain on less outgoings than I've ever had in my life, and we are more cash flow, more wealthy, let alone the lifestyle wealthy and relationship wealthy. So let's listen to what he's got to say.
Yeah. Okay. Let's listen. And I think what I do think about that is that it's a much shorter distance between a business owner's the performance of their business and their wealth than it would be an employee or someone who owns a large business or a corporation. So I do think it's relevant, but I'm just letting you know, I've never. And the other thing I want to let you know on the way in, because we should expose our biases so we all know what's going on. I'm not a big fan of this Dragon's Den, shark, multi-billionaire. I don't like it. I'll be honest with you. So I think there's a point where actually you're making money probably when you don't need to, and I don't find it attractive. That's like, for me, I think if we all made what we needed and then got about making lives better for each other, that would suit me much more. Okay, but that's how I feel about it. Let's have a listen to what Mark Cuban, the stinkingly rich Dragon's Den or shark type person, whatever he is, let's see what his guide to getting rich is. It only takes 2 minutes and 46 seconds, so that's good news. Can't be much.
And I'm about to give you some advice on how to be just a little bit richer than you are today. How do you get rich? Rich is all relative. So there's certain things you need to do in order to put yourself in the best position to be rich. The first thing you need to do is live like a student. When you get that first job, it's really cool. I remember looking at cars and thinking, I want this car. Fortunately, I kept my junker. Number two, you shouldn't use credit cards. I remember bill collectors calling me every 2 minutes. You're better off using a debit card when you need to just not use cash. Number three is save up 6 months' income. If you don't like your job at some point, or you get fired, or you have to move, or something goes wrong, you're gonna need at least 6 months' income. Then what I would do is probably put it into the cheapest SPX, Standard & Poor's mutual fund that I could find. If you're a true adventurer and you really want to throw the Hail Mary, you might take 10% and put it in Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if you do that, you've got to pretend you've already lost your money. And it's like collecting art, it's like collecting baseball cards, it's like collecting shoes. Something's worth what somebody else will pay for it. It's a flyer, but I'd limit it to 10%. It's so hard to make a return on regular investments that you're better off when you see a sale. So for instance, if hopefully we're all using toothpaste every day, right? A couple of times a day. And we're gonna go through toothpaste every month, whatever it may be. You're better off buying 2 years worth of toothpaste when it's on 50% discount. That's an immediate return on your money. Any of your reusables, consumables that you have to have, when they're on a huge sale on Amazon, buy them, because chances are their prices are going to go up. But that's a real savings that you get to put in your pocket. Negotiate using cash. I tell people all the time, if you're out, you're going to take a yoga class and they want to charge you $30, say, look, I got 20. You know what? They're going to take it. Negotiating with cash is a far better way to get a return on your investment. I used to love to walk through bookstores when there were bookstores everywhere. And if there's something that caught my eye, and I thought it can give me one idea, to spend $30 to give one idea that could help propel me, make my businesses better, it was a bargain. The Only Investment Guide You'll Ever Need by Andrew Tobias used to get me all fired up. I'll read hours every day because all it takes is one little thing to propel you to the next level. Nice works. When you're nice to people around you, when you're caring, when you're empathetic, you're always going to get more results. Running a company is not easy, it's hard. But the one thing that you can control in life is your effort. Work hard.
Good. I like that.
Wow.
Wow. That was a action-packed 2 minutes and 46 seconds. There's nothing there that I disagree with. I mean, I don't know. I read, because the other thing I do is I've got people recommending books on the Talk Marketing thing now to get me reading again and mindfully and reviewing them so that, I have to think about what's going on. So one of the books was The Richest Man in Babylon. I don't know if you've read that. But similar themes, put aside 10%, live on what you've got, don't go into debt, all these kinds of things. But this is more your bag than my bag. So if we take Mark Cuban's advice, we need to know from you, the expert, are we going to be a bit richer?
I want to see those 9 points. Let's go through them quickly, I guess, because it's 2.5 minutes.
Okay, cool. So we can go back.
Left.
We can refresh.
Hi, I'm Mark Cuban, and I'm about to give you some advice on how to be just a little bit richer than you are today.
Wait. So, how to get rich? We'll get them up, and then you can comment on each. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, do that. So,
how do you get rich? Rich is all relative. So there's certain things you need to do in order to put yourself in the best position to be rich. The first thing you need to do is live.
Well, I screwed that up, didn't I? Let's go back ever so slightly. Okay, so there's the top 5. Number 1, live like a student.
Interesting. First of all, he's the expert. I'm not. He's wealthier than I am. Am I financially free? Yes, pretty much. A lot of this, I think, is not new. I think the key thing, I heard this, you mentioned The Richest Man in Babylon. A great coach friend of mine gave me that when I started my business 20 years ago. And I've heard these things, these 9 points so many times. But back then, I heard them and didn't apply them. And what is it? To know and not to do is not to know. So it is. They are true. Live like a student. I think one of the defining moments for me, I struggled for years. I made a lot of money, then I struggled for years making sales consistently. But I'd broken some of his rules. I lived sort of outside my means. And I built overheads as well as personal overheads that were hard work to keep going. And I remember a defining call, stood on the doorstep. I've got a success buddy. A guy came to me, said, can we hook up every 2 weeks and just brainstorm and chat? And we've been doing that for 15 years. And he just challenged me as to why I'd got the Jaguar car on the drive that I was financing at 600 quid a month. Because I was talking about being skint, I was talking about chasing the money and wanting to make the sales. And I put the phone down and I thought, yeah, I've had it, I've liked it, but actually, does it fit with what I'm trying to achieve now? We can talk about the vision and the future, but right now, and what I did is I ended up buying a T5 transporter van, and I could put it through the business. It was tax efficient, and I sold it and made some tax efficient money at the back end, and we had some great fun. So I brought the overhead down, and I continued to do it. And yeah, we moved to Spain. In the last few years, my overheads right now. In fact, this month I finished paying on a long-term loan I had on some um, timeshare over 15 years. So I'm now another 600 quid a month better off. I have the lowest overheads, virtually zero now in the UK, and the lowest overheads in Spain. So when he says live like a student, I think I might say live frugally, because it links in with some of the other points there. When he said don't use credit cards, and Rob Kiyosaki in Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about don't spend money on
So you're going on to number 2 now. Let me also say something about number 1. So I think live within your means is probably what it should be. And the way they express this the Richest Man in Babylon is a little bit of a weird book, is why I haven't reviewed it yet. I don't really know what I think. But the way he expresses this in The Richest Man in Babylon is he says, you're all here. He's addressing a group, and you all have different incomes, and none of you have any money. So how can it be the case then that none of you have enough money to live on? You know, some of you have much more money, some of you have much less money, but you're all spending all of your money. So it can't be the case that you can't live on all of that money, because some of you are. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah. It's true that, so it should be like live like a student. I'm just thinking back to when I was a student. I could not give a shit. I was in the bank every 20 minutes up in my overdraft, you know, and we all were. So live like a student, I think, is a misdirection. It should be to live within your means. And the message of the book is something that's coming up here, is just put aside 10% of what you bring in. Yep.
And they all fit in with each other. And I think you're right. I said live frugally, live within your means. You're right. And I think the challenge there, what happened to me is I made a lot of money quickly. And so I lived to those means, but those means didn't last very long. And then suddenly I was in the crapper. So I lived within my means as an employed manager for years. Yeah. More easily, because it was relatively fixed. I had commissions, there was a little bit, but there wasn't like massive variations of income like you might get in your business. So if it's predictable, then live within your means. If it's not as predictable, like mine, or there is a risk, then live even more in your means, which then comes to him putting the 10% away and the other things away. We can bounce around those. So live like a student, live within your means. And then he talks about buying frugally, you know, buying at discount. I loved my sister when her 3 boys were at home and her husband was alive. They would go bulk shopping. They would look around. I struggle with the global news now, and you mentioned something earlier about something globally. I just struggle with generalized news when they say the average house price. But when they talk about the economy, I rarely hear them talk about taking ownership. That could be the overriding thing for his 9 points. Yes. Because I've got an old friend of the family I've just rehooked up with. He says he lives on, I think, £3 a day, 3 meals a day, £1 sterling. It's bonkers. It's extreme. I'm not suggesting you do that. But like the guys in The Richest Man in Babylon, he's proved he can do it. He might splash out a little bit. So yes, you can buy in bulk. Yes, you can do stuff. Live within your means. That's certainly the student. I think that's the bulk buying. And actually, if you bulk buy or discount buy or negotiate with cash, the more money you're saving. I think one of the disciplines is tithe, put that 10% or whatever away. My father beat me up at the age of 18, kept going on and on about investing some money in just a 10-year investment back then. And in the end, I did it just to get him off my back. And then I got a pay rise, so I put some more in. And then I saw these policies mature after 10 years, and it was exciting. Yes. And here's the big learning I had, that you don't miss it. You don't miss it. I've whinged about Mary, my partner, spending something, or we bought something, and I've gone, crap, that's a lot. And then a month later, I've looked back and gone, well, I didn't miss that. Yeah. And if you start putting some money away, and start investing. Just make the freaking start, and just you imagine it's not there, because because you're then still living within your means. So these are all tying together. It's sound advice. But the biggest challenge for me was I heard it and didn't do anything about it. But when I did, 10 years later, I got a bunch of policies maturing every year. Happy days for me in my mid-20s.
Okay, good. So let's go to number 2 then. Number 2 is at odds with what Mr. Kiyosaki says. He says here you shouldn't use credit cards. Kiyosaki says if you're not in debt, you don't understand how money works and you'll never be rich, is essentially his message, isn't it?
Okay.
If you're not leveraging debt, is what Kiyosaki says.
That's the key word. That's the key word. I think what this guy's talking about is his audience is possibly most generally people on fixed income and maybe employed. I think use credit card. I used credit cards for years when I was employed, but I put all my fuel on for my car and I cleared it at the end of the month when I got paid. I could measure it better. I could just manage it better. I've also known a guy buy a house on a credit card, an investment property, then refinance, get it out, and it's an investment. So there are times when you can, if you're very disciplined. I think what my caveat with that is don't run up debt you can't handle, you can't clear. I remember that rule with my credit card going out of hand for some reason, again, when I was employed. And I remember looking at it going, it's a couple of grand, it's going to take me a year to pay off. Do I really want to wait a year? Well, yeah, I'm going to clear it off, but I ain't doing that again. I don't want to be chasing money and paying off debt for a year. So I think if you're going to use it with discipline. And yes, there are ways to use it in an investment perspective. Credit cards are the most expensive type of debt. So when Kiyosaki says you don't understand debt if you're not using them, there are other ways to invest with other people's money. And I've done the good and the bad with it. I wouldn't. I think if you're going to use it, enough said. Probably. Do you remember 2 weeks ago when there was a car accident outside my road, 50 feet from my house in my quiet little mountain village?
What's happened now? Has a satellite just come through the roof?
No, I just left the door open. It's got windy. I'm in a microclimate. I literally can look at one tree 50 feet away. It's still another one. It's whipping around like a whirlwind. Sorry, apologies again. It's going to be a recurring theme, man. I think that's the caveat with credit cards, and I think that's the caveat with debt. Definitely, you can go. There's good debt and bad debt. He talks about, isn't there? Yeah. I've scared the life out of my mother when I first got into property and said, "Look, I have 6 mortgages worth about $1 million," and she said, "How on earth?" I said, "No, the tenants are paying them all. It's an investment. It's managed. So it's not a debt. It's good debt. It's good debt."
Yeah. So here is my issue, I think, with that I haven't quite resolved with The Richest Man in Babylon, is that he's saying in the book nothing has changed in 5. Like, if anyone's read it, if they haven't read it, it's kind of delivered through parables. It's like the story about Babylon. We don't really know what went on in Babylon. It was written by a guy like 100 years ago, and he's using this mechanism, this narrative style. But he's saying that nothing has changed in 5,000 years. And what I haven't quite reconciled is if it hasn't, because it's changed in my life. Like, I grew up until I was about 20, and being in debt was a cardinal sin. You know, nobody was in debt. Nobody would. I remember when I got my first car, I got the first stereo for my car on tick. It was a Renault 5, and the stereo might have cost £100, and I had to pay it off at £5 a week or something off the club book. So at that time, at the back end of the 80s, like, debt was a cardinal sin. And now there is such thing as the debt trap. You know, people are completely caught in this thing. So yeah, 100% be really careful. But also 100% is it possible to live off 90% of your income if 50% of your income is being paid back to credit card companies? You know, so, and I would argue that maybe it is more than possible. It has to be necessary. You know, you have to do it. So maybe it's the attitude that has to change again.
Yeah, I think it depends who's listening to this, doesn't it? I was a self-employed one-man business coach. I lived above my means because I'd made some money. I took on debt, and then I had to keep getting more debt to manage. And my mantra was, I've got to sell myself out of this. Actually, I reduced overheads, costs. and sold myself out of it. And that's just a simple business principle, isn't it? Reduce overheads, increase profit, increase sales.
Yeah.
I think if the people listen to this are business owners, if you've got a business that's generating you consistent cash flow and you've got money out, you're paying yourself regularly, your next step then should be investing. Where else are you going to invest? Then these 9 points you probably understand them. If you're struggling to make money or you're on fixed income, and we know right now as we speak, the global and especially the Western economy is we're from the UK, I'm in Europe, everything's expensive, people are struggling, and these points are really valid. But if you're in a business where it's working, I'd be looking at these going, what else can I be doing? Instead of investing 10%, what if I'm investing more? Am I investing in higher risk and stuff? Am I treating it like it's already gone, or am I monitoring it more effectively and making it more? Because I was taught, grow a business to make money, then invest. First step to investment, easiest to learn, can be property, and then other things. And Rob Kiyosaki's book's a great one to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because you can there's so many. I think people we're talking to on this channel, if it's a lot of small business owners, not midgets, small businesses, so many that I meet are skint. And back to what you're delivering here, they haven't learned to market and sell, but actually, if you've got, they also haven't learned to manage finance. And we should 100%. Be teaching that at school. I love Rob Kiyosaki's principles of what he's trying to change in the world. But yes, we should all be learning to market and sell. Most people don't go into business to learn to market and sell, but also you should be learning how to manage finance, manage money personally in the business. So many people in business, when I first meet them, you can just pull so much more money off the table with what they're already doing rather than trying to chase new sales. So 100%. It is a two thing.
Yeah. And when I was the Effective Marketing Company, when I was running the business as an agency, 70-80% of the businesses that were engaging me were living off overdrafts. It was frightening. And the issue is, I think people don't learn how to manage their money, and then they manage the money in their business like they manage their personal money, and that's a disaster hiding for nothing.
Oh, life's a mirror, man.
To what we were talking about two weeks ago is that we are slaves to the corporations. If you're doing that, you're not giving yourself the best chance, is what I would say. Okay, save 6 months' income. I think eminently sensible. If you possibly can, you should have 6 months' income in the bank. Put savings into SPX mutual funds. So that's just a low risk, low return kind of a thing, is it? Invest up to 10% of savings in high risk investments. I checked the date then, because this was 5 years ago. Nobody's putting money in Bitcoin now, are they? Or in cryptocurrencies? No. Okay,
not anybody with. Not that I'm being advised anyway.
Yeah. Right, so that's number 5. When do we get to see more of the list? There's more of the list. Okay, so buy consumables in bulk and on sale. The thing is, this is so true, but you're never going to get a 50% return on your money unless you're buying 50% discounted toothpaste. That might be the best return in the world, but I don't know how often he's buying his I celebrate. I've got to the time in my life where I celebrate making it to the end of a tube of toothpaste. And it takes months. It takes months and months and months.
All right. Guys, listen to this. It's the principle of it all. But what I love is this was about marketing and sales and your channel, and he's talking about wealth, and it seems personal. It's about how do you map it across, because it is so similar. Let's take that principle of reducing costs. That's what he's talking about. I've just had Mary come to me and say, we're swapping out our Infusionsoft CRM and a bunch of other bits of tech and whatever we've got for this one new thing that our guys got. It means we'll have more functionality, but actually it means we'll be able to deliver on what we're delivering, but it will cost us less per month, and I won't go do it. Yeah. So I've got a client, I've been coaching him for 10 years. I took my eye off the ball and I said to him the other week, when did you last look at all of your costs in the business? Look at the top 20% and go out there and reduce them. He said, I haven't. I said, you should be doing that every 6 months. You can always buy cheap and negotiate cheap. Tech can reduce your costs. So yes you should be. I've had people say, I've just spent money on whatever, Facebook ads. It's not worked for me. People are telling me your stuff works. Can I buy it from you? Yes. And we can get a return. So you can always reduce costs. And can you do that personally? Yes, of course you could. And they are interlinked, because like I've just shared with my story, I was struggling. What people do is, yes, they get themselves into debt. I got myself further into debt with my business, but I had this absolute belief that I was in the right business and industry and I was going to make it work. But I did funny this, and I think he might talk about it in The Richest Man in Babylon. I got to a point where I said to Mary, we are not putting any more money into this. I could have borrowed from one other source, but I borrowed. We got the highest level of debt we'd ever had. And I went, no more. If we don't sell ourselves out of this, if this doesn't work with the cash flow buffer we've just put in, don't know what I'm going to do, but I ain't doing any more of this. And things change. When your back's up against the wall, I'm not saying go into debt to get it up against the wall. And there is a balance. I remember the great Brad Sugars, who founded Action Coach, multimillionaire, saying, go and buy the new office or whatever when you can half afford it. What a coach guy I knew who was being coached when he got challenged with that, went out and invested in a racehorse and then got in the crapper and got bust or whatever. No. But the point was, when you create that vacuum, it gets filled. When you create that back against the wall, you get that motivation. Now, it's got to be a balance. And I didn't do that. I didn't go get the office and the staff when half full to go create it. I struggled with sales and I had to keep borrowing money to put into the business. But when I made that decision that no more, and I remember thinking, well, there is one other little route, and I went, no, it happened. But the best solution is don't get into that position in the first place. Learn to market and sell yourself to get consistent sales. I was in an industry where I didn't generate consistent sales.
Okay, good. And if they spend enough time here, eventually everything they need to do that will be here. So that's good news. So I think a few things. Firstly, online subscriptions. We got to the point where we did a tot up when we were the Effective Marketing Company. We were managing clients. We got up to $1,200 or $1,300 a month on these online subscriptions, and we're not using, if they're 50 each, we're not with $50 each. We're not using 26 of these tools, So that is a killer. The other thing I want to say is, like, there's this mantra in business about persistence, like persist, persist, persist. Like Colonel Sanders only got taken on by the 82nd person he put his chicken in front of. I think there is a lot of value in also knowing when to quit, when to say, okay, this is shit. It's not working. Yeah. It's not going to work. I'm getting out. Or, like you say, creating that vacuum, saying, okay, this is as much as we're going to do. We're going to do 6 months more of this. And everything that's gone in has gone in. And if it comes around in 6 months, then that's cool. But if it doesn't, then we should quit. So I think there are lots of people doing lots of stuff trying to make money that is never going to make money. And the sooner they wake up to the fact and quit, the happier they will be.
I think three quotes I've got. Somebody once, when asked, what would you do again differently based on the success you've got, he said, I'd learn to fail faster, which is what you said, no when to quit or change. Other thing is practice makes permanent. If you practice crap, you'll get permanent crap. So learn the right stuff. I have a formula for success: massive action times the right stuff times consistently. People do not learn the right stuff about marketing and sales and managing finance because they're interrelated. So look at all your business overheads, create rules, and get ruthless. And the same in your personal finances. And take that step to invest. How many business owners pay all their team and all their suppliers and don't pay themselves? Now, I got taught that, but I didn't do it because I couldn't afford to pay myself first. But actually, if you paid yourself first, the theory behind that is you're forced to make the money to pay the others.
Yes.
But it's easy. It's easier. Human beings will go for the easy option. It's easier not to pay myself first and pay the others. I'll deal with my own shit.
Is that a suggestion in the E-Myth? There is somewhere where they say pay yourself first. Because,
I think
weirdly, we do devalue ourselves. Like, we have much more respect for everyone else. Like, we'll pay everyone else before we get paid. I was guilty of that when I was running my business, and I definitely knew that before. So I think that's a good.
Because we'll collude with ourselves, and I'll go and find the money. I'll manage. I'll not go out tonight, but I can't face the wrath of not paying a staff member or lose the staff or the wrath of a supplier. So it's a hard rule. It's a disciplined rule to put into place, but it's a sound rule. And in the same way as the rules of look at your personal overheads, it's easy and create that discipline of investing some money, even if you think you can't. Because what I've learned so many times is you don't miss it. You will cut your cloth. And if it's
yeah.
only 10%, if you're paying yourself a couple of grand a month, it's a couple of hundred. You won't miss it. And very quickly it becomes, I know that because I've had some relatively heavy debt for 15 years and it finishes this month. And I'm going, well, hey, what am I going to do with that money? Because I could just flit it away. Actually,
Yes.
I've not missed spending it. It wasn't an investment, but it was a debt. So I could just push that into an investment, couldn't I? Other people would go,
yeah.
oh, I'll have that money and I'll go buy the latest bling. So
Yes.
get disciplined on looking at your costs. And yeah, there's so many creative ways. I think it fits in with what he said. Invest up to whatever the investments are. Negotiate using cash is an interesting
This is
one.
the next one, yeah. So this is the next one, and I think again, I would shorten this and just say negotiate. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's the easiest thing in the world to just start saying to people, how much is that? And then when they say how much it is, you say, is that the very best price? And then they say, it's not really the very best price. And then you save some money. Do you know what I mean? Or they just say,
cool.
it's the very best price. But it's just get into the habit of using the words, is that the very best price? Because it's incredible how often you just get something for asking,
You are right. And you've got my mind spinning around. Yes, negotiate. Because there are times when I don't think cash works. If I go to a car dealer now, they don't particularly want cash. They want you having finance because they make more money. If you came to me and said, can I pay you cash? No, not really. It's a pain in my backside administrative wise. So yeah, you're right. Negotiate. Now that's a great phrase.
But why would you wouldn't negotiate and then limit to yourself to one lever that you have to pull? You negotiate. You say to them literally, how do we make this price lower? And then they tell you, and then you're negotiating.
This channel is about helping people market and sell. That's a great phrase you've got. Mary, my partner, uses something similar. She always books the hotels because she will go, is that the best you can do? Similar to what you said.
Yes.
And then she'll just wait. Now, another thing, because this is about negotiating, guys. If you want to learn to sell better, buying and selling is the same psychology, because you can fend this off if ever you get hit with it in your sales. The other one is if they say, well, no, you say, well, who is there at your end that is authorized to make a decision?
Yes.
Or has the authority? And you can imagine my mentor who taught me this, did it in a furniture shop. You can imagine the sales guy going upstairs to his boss going, there's a woman downstairs. I got my mother to do that and bought a kitchen table. He said, can you do me a better price? No. She said, well, is there someone who here with authority could? And he scuttled off upstairs. You can imagine him saying to his boss, I've got a 70-year-old woman downstairs who's asking to speak to someone with authority to discount. Okay, I'll sort her out. And she got the discount. And then the other thing is there's a great guy called Rick Otten, who's, long story, you'll see lots of him in the internet, incredible and awful story, but master property investing and negotiating. And I saw him on video walking somewhere like Egypt, him and his friend. You know how you get approached by the sales people with all the sunglasses and all the stuff and whatever?
Yes.
And it starts off with the sales guy, whoever he was, they get referred to as the lucky man, selling whatever they're selling. Let's call it sunglasses. He said $20. All that him and his mate did was just went $20, and kept walking. $20, and his mate would go, And the guy would follow him, and he'd go, $18. And he'd go, $18. $18. Well, see, they went all the way along until he got it for $2. They didn't say anything else other than repeat the price and go,
Yes.
And the salesman discounted and discounted and discounted. And so in sales, you've got to learn not to discount. Here's something else that happened very quickly. Where do we at? Negotiate. And learn how to negotiate, add value. Value to what you add. And if someone asks you for a better price, I never discount. I was in New York. I wanted to buy a watch. I was in an environment back then, I said about debt, where everyone reached a level of success in my network, got a Rolex. I wanted a Rolex. We talked about brands 2 weeks ago. Hey, so I saw a shop with a Rolex in the window. I walked in and I said, the guy said, oh, we don't do Rolex. I said, but you have one in the window. Oh, that's just a display. We do tag her. I said, okay, I'll have a look at tags. Now, think about the price point of a Rolex compared to the entry price points of tags. Yes, they've got ranges up there. He showed me the cheapest tag possible. And I went, okay. I was prepared to spend probably 4 times as much. And then he practiced his sales craft because he said, if you buy it today, I'll give you 10% off. And I thought, you've practiced your sales craft and messed it up big time, mate. So I went, yeah, done. He showed me the cheapest one. He could have showed me something much higher. And if he'd have hit me with the buy now, I'll give you 10%, I'd probably spent $2,500 instead of $600.
Yes.
So learn how to negotiate. Absolutely.
100%. And also just understand that negotiation isn't about winning or losing or a win-win situation. This does my head in. There's no such thing as win-win. Like, the definition of win is to beat somebody. So if everybody wins and nobody's beaten, then it's not winning. It's about understanding the needs of the person that you are in discussion with and working with them to get to a resolution that works for everyone. And, very often they can charge you less and achieve everything they need to achieve without worrying about that. Okay, good. So number 8 is be nice. Nice works. I don't know if I believe that, I'll be honest with you, because everyone I know who's really rich is an absolute one of them. The richest people I know are absolute those people. Yeah?
I love you, mate. Is it possible out there you haven't met yet who's lovely? I don't think you know enough wealthy people. Can you still hear me okay? Because I've frozen.
I'm hearing you fine. Yeah, well, soldier on.
I've also met a bunch of lovely people. I think the caveat I would say to be nice is be nice, and be aware. Because I've met people that are too nice, so they get walked over or taken for advantage.
Yes.
Here's the other thing I think about wealthy people. I think money is a magnifier. If you're a shit before you're wealthy, you'll just be a bigger shit when you're rich. If nice works and you're a nice guy, you're a philanthropist, you're nice to people, you'll be more nice when you're wealthy. Magnifier. So I don't think it's the wealth. I think it's the person anyway. And absolutely nice works. Who was it? Is it says I can help anybody I can get whatever I want if I help enough people get what they want. Well, to help people, you got to be nice. My definition of sales is professionally helping people to buy. So be nice and be aware, because if you're too nice, there's a risk of getting walked over.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think the shame of it is, I'm not saying that nice doesn't work. I 100%, that's my approach. If I were looking for excuses, I'd say I'm too nice to be rich. I don't care enough to be rich is the problem, probably. But, 100%, if people are working for you because they want to work for you, then that's 100% better than people working for you because they're scared or because they're being bullied or whatever that is. That's how you get the very best out of people and the very best for people. So I do believe it, but I do think, unfortunately, you can be very successful by being an absolute one of those people. That's what I think.
That's not my definition of success. You can be monetarily rich and still be a shit, but success for me is balanced. It's not just wealth, money. That's my definition of wealth and success. This guy's talking about just being rich. Yeah, be nice. And that can mean a million things, can't it? It's not just I can give money to charity. The more money I have, the more I can give, the more time I can give to help. Money's an enabler. I want to be nice. I don't want to screw people into the ground. I used to work for a guy who was a lovely old man. He was in his 80s. He was from Yorkshire. He was tough. He called a spade. But I remember he used to come in and say, I've harangued the Italians, which was our suppliers, for another 10 pence a pair on footwear. We didn't need that. And I used to say, that's going to be great. But come August, when they're on factory shutdown and we've oversold and we need a favor, are they going to give it us? No. He wasn't nice in his negotiation. He was all about we'd lose.
Okay, cool. And then the other one, number 8, actually was read books, which is a fantastic idea. Every idea that's ever been conceived is in a book somewhere. Everything you need to be more successful. Let's think more about being successful rather than being rich. Being rich for the sake of being rich, I think, is very, very distasteful given the way that some people are suffering. So yeah, everything you need is in a book. Get into the habit of reading. And I'm reading a book a week at the moment again, and I'm feeling amazing about it.
Cool. I remember I mentioned Brad Sugars. He's written a lot of books on business, founded Action Coach. He used to read a book a week. He said, if you want to out earn me, you've got to outlearn me. And I was reading a lot way back. I'm reading some great stuff now. If you want 2 books that I'm just reading at the moment,
go on then.
Come across.
I've got a list. I've got 100 recommendations, or more than 100 recommendations, because I've asked 100 people.
Martin, I'm going to be nice. I don't care about you. I'm giving this to the people that might be listening to this.
Oh.
Here, Be Your Future Self Now by Dr. Ben Hardy.
You're the second person who's told me this. No, you're not. You told me this last week when we spoke.
I might have done.
And I went and bought it. Yes. Okay.
It's beautifully put together. It's very simple, which I like. Now, if you're into webinars and you're selling through webinars, and I do a lot with clients to help them with their webinars, then there's one called One to Many by a guy called Jason Fladlien, or Fladlien, Flad for Daniel, IEN for Norman. He seems to be the best in the world. I'm partway through the book because I do a lot of webinars, but I work with my clients on their webinars, and I'm just looking at what else can I do to just constantly refine and refine. Like you say, reading's about getting better. You never know it all. And even if you've heard it before and you're not doing it, then you need to hear it again. So yes. One to many. So for people that are selling, promoting that the marketing on webinars, and by the way, this channel's for, we're talking about marketing and selling. I believe webinars is a fundamental, one of the best marketing strategies for pretty much every business. 20 years ago, I read a book by a guy, I forgot his name, and he was into IT, sales, and he delivered webinars in his IT business way back when most people hadn't heard of webinars, seminars back then. Most people hadn't even heard of seminars, let alone in the IT industry. And he said every business should be utilizing it.
Yeah, they should, definitely. One to many. I'm doing this now because otherwise it won't happen. So One to Many hasn't come up with anything. Who's the author?
Jason Fladlien. Foxtrot Lima Alpha Delta India Echo November.
Fladlien
or Fladlien. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't think you'll find it on podcast.
Key to Profiting Online, Kenneth Key.
No, you'll find it as a book. You can't. A friend of mine yesterday tried to look it up as an ebook or whatever, and it's not there.
Okay, all right. I will persist with that. Okay, good. I think this has been, apart from anything else, Mark Cuban has gone up in my estimation. I think that was a really useful, interesting, punchy piece of content. Interestingly, we spent 2 minutes and 46 seconds hearing from Mark Cuban, and we have been engaged for 47 minutes and 46 seconds. So it's 45 minutes of us and only 2 minutes and 46 seconds of Mark Cuban. But I think it's because it's interesting. This is the point, isn't it? Just open yourselves up. Watch some content you wouldn't otherwise have thought, and open your synapses and start thinking about how or if or just what it does for you. What does it fire for you? Well, what does it lead you? What action does it lead you to that maybe is going to improve your life a little bit? Shall we have a quick squiz in the comments and see how people are responding? Okay, so Marek van der Beek says, I can't believe that Mark Cuban gave such terrible advice. Vanity Fair really cut it down to how they wanted it to be, not to the real advice he gave.
You know what, man? Do you know what? I one of my core values is keeping our mind and losing this limited belief and limited views. I really struggle when someone's closed-minded. I don't care. Well, it's not about criticizing someone's work. It's about what can you get from it that you can apply yourself. And I hope people listening to this have got something from us talking us into the depth of those comments. I don't. It's not terrible advice. It doesn't matter whether it's all sound or whether if there's one thing in there that makes sense and resonates and can make a difference, go take it and apply. Stop criticizing people.
Yes, 100%. Okay, good. Are you having a little dig at me not liking Gary Vaynerchuk? Is that what's
not at all? No. I wouldn't be here with you. Hey, here's a great mantra. What other people think of me is none of my business. Stop being so sensitive. You can't be sensitive looking like that on camera.
And now you're having a go at the way I look.
No.
Right. So here, somebody else is saying, don't gamble is also a solid piece of advice. Wish they'd told me that when I was 18. I lost more money in 15 years of gambling than most people make in their entire life. Left me bankrupt and lost everything and everyone I held dear. Luckily, those days are behind me. And when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. Apparently, also, Mark Cuban said, I'd rather have bananas than Bitcoin.
Well, there you go. I admire that guy for being open about gambling. I wouldn't say don't gamble. I enjoy gambling. I think it's all a balance.
No, I think let's say don't gamble. I think the thing is,
avoid addictions.
I think the thing is that young people now are growing up in a very different place from the place that we grew up. They are targeted for these things. I've done some work with gaming companies in Malta, and they've walked me through how they game these people. Like they turn the tap on and they turn the tap off. And it's all about extracting as much money from people as they possibly can. So I think I would say to people, don't gamble. I'd also say don't take drugs. And I'd also say don't drink because these things are traps. You know, there is it might have been you and I popping into the bookies and putting down a quid or two in 1988. It's quite a different gig, I think, these days.
Well, I think I accept that. And everything in life's easy said than done. Yeah. And yes, if you can't manage the balance, then the extreme is to quit, one extreme. And I do accept that based on what you've just said, it's a lot more difficult now because we heard 2 weeks ago about how the brands are just influencing people's behavior well outside of just buying the brand. Yes, we're being influenced, and it's about being aware of that. We can go on to that. That's all psychology and everything. I mean, I admire that guy for saying it. Don't gamble. Okay.
I would say don't gamble. I would say there are much healthier ways to have fun than gambling. I wouldn't even like me personally. I'm a really compulsive personality. I think I'm really glad that I didn't take the hardest drugs. I smoked for years. I really enjoy the fact that I don't particularly enjoy drinking. I've never got into gambling. You know, I think that's the best advice. That is a trap, man. It really is a trap. There are people employed professionally earning large salaries to extract your money from you.
Another topic. Let's
another topic for another day. We can do that if something comes up.
Me and you can talk forever, brother. And I love your style. And nothing I've said was ever meant with criticism. It's meant
I can't believe you've come on here having a go at me again.
Good. Just keep growing that beard. Let's do this again soon.
We will do this again soon. Yeah, you're going to be here every 3 weeks is the idea. So so we'll do it really soon. So takeaways for me: Mark Cuban isn't quite the knob that I thought he was. I think that one person is saying, I know better what Mark Cuban's advice is, and this isn't it. I don't think you need to bring your ego to the party like that. Here are 9 things you can do to improve your life. We improve them a little bit more by, I think, broadening them. So I think the mission is take charge. Like you said at the beginning, take charge of your situation, take charge of your finances. And from there, things can only get better. What's the takeaway for you?
I love these because it forces me to think about what have we got from them, and that's what we've talked about. I can revisit some of the things we've said even more.
Okay, we don't need to because we have gone 50 minutes already.
We have what?
We have gone 50 minutes.
I think I need to take more, and it came to my mind this morning, coincidentally or not. I've got a bunch of investments out with a bunch of different people. I need to take even more ownership to stay on top of the accountability with them, because one of the things for humans, it's easy to abdicate responsibility.
Yeah, and
I need to take more responsibility and ownership of holding them accountable to report to me to make sure my investments are working, because there's some that I'm not sure have worked yet. Well, they haven't worked yet, and I need to be on top of them. And that's back to the investment side. So.
Yes. And I think you 100% have to be on top of these things in 2023, because there are sharks out there who will help themselves to everything you've got and a bit more. So personal accountability, not being lazy. Like if you're being lazy, someone is helping themselves to your money. That's where we are in 2023. Okay, super cool. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I always enjoy these conversations, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, man. So if the people watching found this interesting or useful, now would be the second best time to like, share, comment, subscribe, and get involved. because we don't need much motivation to continue on this epic journey, but a little bit of support would be absolutely lovely. What do you think, Mr. Gwynn?
Definitely. I've said it so many times. If you keep an open mind, it's about what can you get from this that you take away and do. I don't care what you think about me. I care about what you go and do. And equally, I'm having a blast with this because it's forcing me to do the same. I have to be congruent. And so I've got lots of things to go away and do right now. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for taking the time to check out this episode of Reaction Time. If you found this interesting and useful, then YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy this one, and this is the most recent thing we've posted. If you haven't yet, and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe, and comment, that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic journey.